Welcome back. Today is different because we are reflecting. We began this journey talking about pressure, the silent kind, the inherited kind, the spiritual kind, and week after week we leaned into something better. Peace, identity, resilience, boundaries, and community. So today is not about teaching something new. It's about remembering what we have learned so far. If you've been listening from the beginning, you may have noticed that you are not the same person who started this season. Maybe you no longer feel the need to be perfect. Maybe you've started naming your emotions. Maybe you've questioned expectations that you once carried silently. Maybe you've allowed yourself to be human, or you have championed honest conversations with your family. That is growth. Being a pastor's child can feel like living under a magnifying glass, like we have been saying, but you are not a symbol. You are a soul, a beautiful soul at that. So you are allowed to grow slowly, you are allowed to make mistakes, and you are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. So if you have been at war with your parents, you are allowed to outgrow it as well. If you have been at war with your church, you are allowed to outgrow it as well. If you have just been the one that it's all about what's the wrong that has been done to you, and you're not going to let go, and as a result you don't want to have anything to do with the family, you don't want to have anything to do with the church, you don't want to have anything to do with Christianity, you are allowed to change your mind as well, because when you grow, change occurs, and the only constant thing in life is change. The evidence of growth is also change. So you are allowed to outgrow that old version that keeps offenses, that old version that's not letting go, that old version that is not allowing God be God in their lives. This season was never about rebellion, it was about wholeness. When the pressure says perform, when the pressure says don't forgive, when the pressure says run away, when the pressure says disown your parents, when the pressure says denounce Christianity, peace says become. Peace says become. And that is the crux of the conversation of this season. And becoming takes time. That's why we said you are allowed to grow slowly. Take your time, but make sure you're growing. Take your time, but make sure you are understanding. Take your time, but make sure you are doing it the way that aligns with your values. As a child of God, as a Christian in the first place, that aligns with your value, as a child born into that family. And of course, the family has value too. You are not behind, you are unfolding, and you must know this. Pause with me for a second. What episode challenged you the most? Perhaps you've not even watched the whole episode. What has challenged you the most in whatever you have watched? What conversations felt uncomfortable but necessary? What truths are you still sitting with? Growth often feels subtle, but subtle does not mean small. Maybe you've started setting boundaries. Boundaries for the right kind of friendship. Boundaries for the right kind of romantic relationships. Maybe you've chosen healthier friendships where you feel safe to share and you're not performing. Maybe you've allowed yourself to rest knowing that you are first a child of God, and your title is not your role and is not your calling. These are not small shifts, they are foundations for growth. As we close this episode, carry these 3 anchors with you. First, protect your peace intentionally. Be intentional about protecting your peace, not aggressively, not defensively. Wisely protect your peace. You are a vessel unto honor, and God has to be honored in your life every day. Being in peace is the number one step to honoring God. Second, choose authenticity over image every time. Your authentic self is that you are first a child of God. After you were born into that pastor's family, Jesus was introduced to you and you were introduced to Jesus, and you made a choice to love him, to serve him, to know him. That is your true identity. That's where it stems from. And you need to continually discover who you are in Christ. And when you do, choose authenticity over image. That is the only way to stop performing. That is the only way to stop. You just put up an act. You take off the facade when you choose authenticity over image. And third, build your life slowly, steadily, not to impress anyone, but to become stable, to become grounded, to become rooted as a Christian and as a child of God, who is also a pastor's child. You do not have to solve your whole future this year. Remember when we were talking about relationship, we said, what's the rush? Everything does not have to happen in a particular year, and if it does not happen, God is not God. You do not have to solve your whole future this year. You just have to grow honestly in this season. To every pastor's child listening, your story matters. Your struggles are valid. Your faith is personal, and your growth is sacred. You are not alone in this journey, and you are not invisible. I had to read that so that I won't miss out any. It is important for you to know that you are not alone and you are not invisible. Here is Flourish reminding you as we round off this reflection episode that you are more than the pressure placed on you. You are more than the expectations around you, and you are more than the role you inherited. You are becoming your own person, a beautiful child, a beautiful tool and vessel in the hand of God, and that is a holy work. Until next season, choose peace, choose growth, and choose yourself in God. Have a beautiful time.